that is super important in Spanish that is totally different than what we do in English is the fact that all nouns in Spanish have gender. So desk and book and wall all are either masculine or feminine. So it's really important that you learn how to identify that, because when you start using articles and when you start using adjectives, everything has to match the noun in gender, masculine and feminine, and then in number, singular or plural. And I noticed that a lot of you are struggling with this, so I want to make sure we kind of touch on it, and hopefully it'll make a little more sense when we're done. So, where do you look to figure out the gender? You're going to look at the very last letter of the singular noun. And that last letter will usually, there are exceptions to the rule, that will tell you whether it is masculine or feminine. Typical masculine letters are L, O, E, R, and then if you see AMA all together. Typical feminine letters are D, A, and if you see ION all together. So here's some examples. Libro, which is book, it ends in an O, so it's masculine. Papel is paper, ends in an O, so it's masculine. Over here on the feminine side, we have puerta, door, ends in an A, so we know it's feminine. Comunidad ends in a D, so we know it's feminine. And then conversación ends in an ION. Now your lesson had a lot of exceptions to the rule. So words like agua, el agua, typically is going to be masculine because it's an exception. Mapa, even though it ends in an A, that is also masculine. So you have to make sure that you're aware of those exceptions. The word for hand is mano, even though it ends in an O and you may think it's masculine, it's actually la mano and it's feminine. So make sure you go back to the lesson and review those exceptions to the rule. So now that we can identify whether a noun is masculine or feminine by looking at the last letter, let's make sure we know how to make these words plural. In English, typically we just add an S to make a word plural. In Spanish, there are a couple little things that you're going to do differently. So, if your word ends in a vowel, A-E-I-O-U, to make it plural, all you're going to do is add an S. Okay, so we turn libro, book, into libros, books. If your word ends in a consonant, any other letter except for the vowels and then the letter Z, you're going to add an ES to make it plural. So papel became papeles. If your word ends in a Z, that's the only thing that's a little weird, you're going to change the Z to a C and add ES. So lápiz becomes lápices. Okay? Now, we have definite and indefinite articles, and you want to make sure that your article matches your word in gender and number. We have el, la, los, and las. All four of those mean the in English. Then your indefinite articles are un, una, unos, and unas. Un and una mean a or an, and then unos and unas mean some. So whenever you have to put your article with the word, and most of you did a really good job at this, you want to make sure that your article matches your noun in gender and number. So if we had to put a definite article with libros, we would want to pick the masculine plural article. El and los are both masculine, la and las are both feminine. El and la are singular, los and las are plural. So the plural masculine is going to be los libros. That means the books. If we wanted to say some books, then we would pick the masculine plural indefinite article. Unos libros, some books. And you can see here that these endings match. So with la and las, you can see the A and the AS for the feminine and then feminine plural. Same thing here. Una and unas both have A's in them, so you know they're plural. And feminine. Feminine and then plural. All right, hopefully that clears up some of those masculine, feminine questions, and then we're going to talk about how to add an adjective in the next lesson.